Time by Carrie Chris is 6 p.m. Time for CBX Business News. The Business News Headlines is brought to you by CBX Wealth Management, making more possible.
$10 billion in damages, credit reform in St. Lucia, and Germany rewrites China's strategy. Good evening and welcome to CBX Business News for Thursday, November 13, 2025. I'm Rochelle Moncrief. Thanks for joining us. Coming up in the newscast, locally, Hurricane Melissa's $10 billion toll prompts a two-stage rebuild of Jamaica's water network. On the regional front, St. Lucia launches a modern insolvency framework aimed at boosting credit confidence and accelerating business recovery. And over on the global stage, Germany accelerates its strategy to de-risk trade and investment ties with China. Stay tuned as we unpack these stories and more right after the break.
Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the CBX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why CBX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767.
The local news is brought to you by Darriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean flavors and fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments.
Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with a massive economic fallout in Jamaica's water network. Minister of Water, Environment and Climate Change, Matthew Samuda, says the National Water Commission, NWC, is facing over $10 billion in financial impacts from Hurricane Melissa. Speaking at a post-Hurricane Melissa press briefing earlier today, Minister Samuda outlined a two-stage plan already presented to Cabinet, beginning with a $3.25 billion emergency program now in motion.
The disruptions, damage, indeed lost revenue, reduced collections, and cost of relief and restoration will exceed 10 billion Jamaican dollars. The Cabinet has been appraised of all of the issues that affect the Water Commission and has been presented with a restoration and relief plan. That plan includes clearing access to sites, temporary repairs to raw water transmission and distribution pipelines, installation of standpipes in communities without electric power where the water treatment plants in the area have power, trucking of water, both through the Water Commission's own trucks and through members of Parliament and indeed the municipalities, office building repairs, purchase and rental of standby generators. This first phase of our restoration plan will cost 3.25 billion Jamaican dollars.
He says the second phase, costing almost $7 billion, will be carried out over a 4 to 6 month period, delivering deeper resilience upgrades.
Over the coming 4 to 6 months, items that cannot be procured or should not be procured in an emergency way will see the benefit of a $6.95 billion restoration plan, which will have layers of resilience to ensure that as we build back particularly stronger. We've also identified 4 large generators at some of our plants that have not performed as per expectation, and we'll be replacing those over the 4 to 6 months to harden our infrastructure going forward.
As of this morning, 76% of NWC customers have been restored, with 267 systems active out of 763. Still, 496 systems remain disrupted, leaving 130,000 customers without piped water. Meanwhile, the government is moving to accelerate water restoration across Jamaica's hardest hit parishes with an aggressive procurement push that will see the state purchase all water tanks local manufacturers can produce between now and year end. 4 companies currently manufacture Jamaica's water storage tanks, and all have been asked to submit their full production capacity as part of an emergency request from the Ministry of Water. They are Rhino Tank, Multiplastics, Rotoplastics, Jamaica, and Rock Solid Plastics.
The government is and has put out a call to all tank producing companies that we're aware of in Jamaica. There are 4 manufacturers who produce tanks in Jamaica. We have asked them for their total assessment of free capacity, meaning how many tanks can you produce. We will be procuring all of what they're able to produce by December 31st for distribution in the most affected parishes, meaning central to western Jamaica, to assist with households which have been damaged and have no access to water. So at least when the trucking comes, they have appropriate storage.
The NWC is also on track for 85% restoration within the next 72 hours. Minister Samuda, however, warns that the remaining 15% will be the hardest to recover.
The last 15% will be particularly challenging. The last 15% is not achievable without close partnership with JPS. That number will only shrink as those pumps are energized. That reflects where the MPs, the parish councils, and indeed NWC will have to expand its trucking footprint.
That was Jamaica's Minister of Water, Environment and Climate Change, Matthew Samuda. Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited, TJH, is striking a careful balance between short-term losses and long-term financial stability following the 15-day suspension of toll collections during Hurricane Melissa. In an investor update posted on the Jamaica Stock Exchange's website earlier today, the company confirmed that toll collections were suspended for 15 days from October 26 to November 10 under the Toll Roads Act to facilitate emergency and relief access across Jamaica. That pause is reported to have cost the highway operator roughly $41 million per day, amounting to an estimated 615 million Jamaican dollars in total revenue losses for the period. Despite the setback, TJH says its reserve accounts, including its debt service reserve accounts, remain fully funded, ensuring no disruption to loan servicing or credit obligations. And as the company tallies the cost of the suspension, its board of directors has approved a Jamaican $100 million donation to support Hurricane Melissa recovery efforts. The funds will be used to purchase building materials for more than 2,000 individuals whose homes were damaged. In other news, Wigton Energy Limited is reporting stronger results for the half-year ended September 30, 2025, with net profit rising 14% to Jamaican $354.5 million, up from $309.8 million a year earlier. Revenue grew nearly 9% to Jamaican $1.54 billion, boosted by a 27% jump in electricity generation to just over 81 million kilowatt hours as plant availability improved to 88.5% following last year's hurricane disruptions. The company also benefited from lower finance costs, down 16% as it continued to repay long-term debt. Wigton's balance sheet remains solid, with shareholders' equity increasing to Jamaican $5.7 billion and total liabilities down almost 19%. Looking ahead, Wigton says it's advancing two major solar projects totaling 70 megawatts, which will be Jamaica's largest once completed, as part of its strategy to diversify and lead the transition to clean energy. Wigton has also pledged support for Hurricane Melissa relief efforts, continuing its focus on community and environmental sustainability. We go now to updates from the Bank of Jamaica on how the currency markets traded today. In Thursday's currency trading session, the US dollar is selling for $161.39, the Canadian for $115.26, the pound sterling for $212.49, while $189.08 is the going rate for the euro. We move to the latest updates from the JSE equities. In Thursday's trading session, the JSE market activity resulted in the trading of 100 stocks, of which 36 advanced, 45 declined, and 19 traded firm. Leading the winners are General Accident Insurance Company JA, Cygnus Credit Investments JMD Ordinary Shares, Epley Caribbean Property Fund SCC, and Omni Industries. While leading the losers are Jetcon Corporation, MPC Caribbean Clean Energy, Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, and Kingston Properties. The main index declined by 2,857.28 points, or 0.92%, to close at 309,355.17 points. The junior market index declined by 10.93 points, or 0.32%, to close at 3,363.02 points.
And it's time for Market Education Feature, brought to you by CariCris, Regional Ratings, Global Standard.
In today's Market Education Feature, we're talking about insolvency reform. Insolvency reform refers to improvements in a country's laws or procedures that govern how individuals or businesses manage financial distress or bankruptcy. The aim is to make the process of debt restructuring or liquidation more efficient, fair, and transparent, protecting both creditors and debtors while supporting economic stability. Strong insolvency frameworks also improve access to credit by giving lenders greater confidence in loan recovery. Reforms that promote business rescue can reduce firm failures, preserve jobs, and sustain entrepreneurship.
The Market Education Feature was brought to you by CariCris, Regional Ratings, Global Standards.
And that's it for the local news segment. Please stay with us. The regional news is up next.
The local news is brought to you by Diamond Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, tease the senses. And Pulse Investments.
Mikey, Is what sweet you saw?
Yeah, dear babes. Where's the catty? And you go party tonight?
Party? You secure your future yet? Careless.
Did you know that over time the stock market has provided a reliably high return on investments? Be sure to contact a licensed stockbroker for more information on this exciting investment opportunity.
Taking care of business, Mikey?
Yeah, catty. I'm securing my future. Want to come look over my stock portfolio?
The Jamaica Stock Exchange, providing a fair, efficient, and transparent stock market.
Are so much book you need for high school?
I'll show you how to make sure you have all the money for my books and even some extra. It's called budgeting, Dad. Making a budget is the most important thing you can do to track your money. It keeps a record of how much you make, how much you spend, where you spend it, and most importantly, how much you can save. Write down all your income, write down all your expenses, see where you can cut down and allot more money to more important things, like saving.
Welcome back. And now for the regional business news. In a major step for financial reform in the Eastern Caribbean, the government of St. Lucia has officially launched the Office of the Supervisor of Insolvency, marking the final step in bringing the island's new Insolvency Act into force. Speaking at the office launch on Wednesday, Attorney General Leslie Mondesi says the new framework replaces outdated colonial-era laws that left struggling companies with few options.
For years, St. Lucia's insolvency laws were fragmented and outdated. They were built for another area, one where failure was seen only as a punishment, where debtors and creditors had few clear tools to work together, and where the process was slow, uncertain, and often costly. In a modern economy, especially one that trades across borders, that approach no longer works. Investors, lenders, and business owners all need to know that if a business or individual falls into financial distress, there are clear, fair, and efficient rules to follow. This is what gives confidence to extend credit to invest and to take risk in creating jobs and growth.
He notes that the reform seeks to modernize the way businesses and individuals deal with financial distress.
Our policymakers and technical experts recognize this gap. They set out to create a framework that is both modern and compassionate, fair to creditors, but also supportive of people and businesses trying to recover. This new framework also introduces a deeply compassionate reform under Section 62(4) of the Act, an extension of time mechanism for individuals who cannot meet statutory deadlines because of terminal and serious illnesses. Ordinarily, an individual in financial distress must either file a proposal to their creditors right away or file a proposal within 30 days of giving notice, with extensions available for up to 5 months. But where a certified medical practitioner confirms a prescribed medical condition, for example, cancer, the law now grants up to 180 days to commence the proposal and to meet related filing requirements while offering creditor protection.
That was St. Lucia's Attorney General, Leslie Mondesi. Anguilla's government is signaling a bold shift from recovery to reinvention, anchoring its 2026 growth agenda around hard infrastructure, private investment, and the global monetization of its .ai digital asset. The most transformative bet, however, lies in the country's internet domain, .ai. Speaking at a press conference earlier this week, Infrastructure Minister Jose Vanterpool says the government is projecting 1 million domains under management by the first quarter of 2026 from its partnership with the U.S. registrar Identity Digital.
We're seeing the strong revenue growth. We're expecting to hit the first million domains under management by the first quarter of 2026. We're talking about what strategies can we put in place to work with the registrars. For example, perhaps gamifying them, putting them against each other in a competition to say, okay, we're at 1 million. Who's going to be the one to help us get the largest market share between 1 million and 2 million? Little things like that, because if we do see the revenues we're seeing with 1 million, imagine if we do get to 2 million. And we're seeing the steady growth, and we have to remember that every 2 years, every growth that we do will double every 2 years if we're able to hold on to them and get them to renew. So it's about maximizing our strategies for the growth of the .ai domain, but also leveraging the unique advantage that we have to make sure that we get the best return on investment. So
that was Infrastructure Minister Jose Vanterpool. In other news, Belize Bank is deepening its digital transformation drive through a new partnership with US-based fintech firm I2C, aimed at modernizing the bank's core technology infrastructure. The collaboration will see the bank leverage I2C's API-driven platform to roll out new personalized debit card programs and enhanced self-service banking tools. The upgrade also includes machine learning-powered fraud detection and 3D secure authentication, promising stronger customer protection and smoother digital onboarding. Founded in 1902 as the Bank of British Honduras and now controlling roughly 44% of Belize's banking market, Belize Bank has been steadily repositioning itself as a digital-first institution. The lender, led by Chairman and CEO Filippo Alario, has already introduced Belize's first digital wallet, eCash, in 2021 and recently migrated to Finastra Essence with its sister brand, Belize Bank International. It's now time for news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 17 securities, of which 4 advanced, 7 declined, and 6 traded firm. Today's winners are Trinidad and Tobago NGL, Grace Kennedy, Scotiabank Trinidad and Tobago, and Republic Financial Holdings, while leading the losers are A.S. Bryden & Sons Holdings, Prestige Holdings, the West Indian Tobacco Company, and Agostini Limited. Trading activity resulted in the following movements. The All-TNT Index declined by 5.33 points to close at 1,349.59. The Composite Index declined by 3.02 points to close at 936.82. The Cross-Listed Index declined by 0.07 points to close at 69.29. The SME Index remained at 95.60. And we take a short break, but please do stay with us. The international news segment is up next.
Me grew up and see my granny save her money under her mattress.
Exactly.
Your grandmother house never burned down?
No, how you reach that, so?
That was a one-off thing.
That could have happened to anybody. That's why you must put your money in a financial institution and protect it.
What if the bank crash?
Well, that's where JDIC comes in.
What you mean?
JDIC is a financial safety net which provides coverage for your money in case your financial institution fails.
Explain that to me.
Alright, because of the JDIC deposit insurance scheme, once you put your money into a financial institution like a bank or building society, you can get coverage of up to a maximum of $1.2 million per deposit of your financial institution if it should fail. And for even more information, you can visit their new website at www.jdic.org, and you can follow the social media platforms for the latest information.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
In international news, Germany is taking a decisive step to shield its economy from potential supply chain shocks linked to China. Berlin's parliament has established a high-level commission of economists, industry leaders, and labor groups to overhaul its trade strategy, marking the most aggressive phase yet in its policy of de-risking. The move follows Beijing's new curbs on rare earth exports, which underscored just how dependent Europe's largest economy remains on Chinese raw materials. Finance Minister Lars Klingbeil is due in Beijing next week with top bankers and insurers to discuss trade stability and investment safeguards. Analysts at the German Economic Institute warn that despite a year of debate, progress on diversification has been minimal, with around 200 key product areas still over 50% reliant on China. Economists say Berlin's push to reduce dependency without decoupling will define Europe's industrial strategy for years to come. And while Europe redraws trade lines across the US, another kind of pressure is building, not in boardrooms, but behind the coffee counter. More than 1,000 Starbucks baristas across over 40 cities in the United States have walked off the job in what union leaders call the most extensive strike in the company's history. The timing is strategic. The protest coincides with Red Cup Day, one of Starbucks' busiest annual promotions. The union, Starbucks Workers United, says 65 stores began the indefinite strike early Thursday to demand higher pay, better staffing, and a first-ever collective bargaining agreement. Despite the disruption, Starbucks insists that fewer than 1% of its 17,000 U.S. stores have been affected. Talks between the union and management broke down late last year, with both sides trading blame for stalled progress. Workers have filed over 1,000 unfair labor practice claims, accusing the company of stalling and retaliating against organizers. Meanwhile, in West Africa, a different kind of standoff is playing out, not between workers and management, but between a government and its international lenders. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, is assessing whether Senegal's debt and financing strategy remains sustainable after recent disclosures of misreported debt forced the suspension of its previous program. An IMF team wrapped up talks in Dakar this week without finalizing a new agreement. The fund's spokesperson, Julie Kozak, says the discussions now focus on improving transparency, consolidating debt management under one roof, and reinforcing fiscal discipline. The uncertainty has hammered Senegal's international bonds, with the 2031 issue sliding to a record low 64 cents on the dollar, down sharply from 90 cents a year ago. Senegal's prime minister has rejected the IMF's suggestion of a debt restructuring, saying Senegal would not accept conditions that compromise its sovereignty. And finally, in the Americas, a major legal hurdle has been cleared in the long-running battle over Venezuela's most prized foreign asset, Citgo Petroleum. A U.S. federal judge has rejected efforts by Venezuela and Gold Reserve to disqualify him and advisors from overseeing the auction of PDV Holding, the parent company of Citgo Petroleum, paving the way for a final sale decision. The two parties claimed a conflict of interest, alleging that court-appointed advisors received US $170 million in fees from entities tied to Elliott Investment Management, whose affiliate Amber Energy has been recommended as the winning bidder. Judge Leonard Stark dismissed the objections as untimely and without merit, allowing the US $5.9 billion auction bid to proceed. The process aims to raise funds for 15 creditors owed roughly US $19 billion following Venezuela's debt defaults and nationalizations. A final ruling on competing bids is expected by the end of November, marking the decisive stage in the years-long battle for control of Citgo, Venezuela's most valuable foreign asset. And that's it for the international segment of the newscast. The news recap is coming up on the other side of the break.
Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited has been a part of Jamaica's manufacturing landscape for over 20 years. By crafting unique flavors and fragrances, we have become a part of your favorite household and food items such as beverages, ice cream, household cleaners, and much more. Known throughout the Caribbean for the highest quality, we continue to innovate with strong leadership, a dedicated team with integrity. We go the extra mile for our customers. Create the next taste sensation. Contact us at 876-9235-111 or visit our website, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn pages.
Toll sparks two-stage rebuild of Jamaica's water network. Regionally, St. Lucia launches robust insolvency framework to boost credit confidence. And internationally, Germany accelerates strategy to de-risk trade and investment ties with China. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Rochelle Moncrief. Thanks for watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.